welcome back to my channel. Brian P here. So today we will be looking into front-end development, and I've got Šimon here with a senior front-end dev. And just to go straight to the point, you can introduce yourself and also talk about your experience, because you've worked in multiple countries, and also what's the job description of a front-end developer.
Cool. Hi everyone, so I'm Šimon. For now I'm front-end development in Property Finder here in Dubai. But throughout my career I've been doing a lot of things, and it's not just front-end that I enjoy doing. But at the end, front-end is something that's super exciting right now, and throughout my career I always wanted to get to a point where I would think about my users and how they use my software. And I think that's the most important and exciting thing about software development when you develop front end. And this is the main kind of difference that I see. People always talk about like technologies and everything, and yeah, like software development is about technologies, and on front end there are a lot of interesting upcoming things, especially in JavaScript world. But then for me it's about the product and the user, and in front end this is a critical part. If you're developing something that is gonna be out-used by people, this is a very important thing.
Okay, that's really interesting. So for your case, you kind of try to pursue 3 bachelor's degrees, and you kind of dropped out of them. So you're like a college dropout, and doing right now you're a senior front-end dev, right? How was the experience in the academics, and why did you decide to drop out of the university?
Well, I didn't really decide, but but I liked studying, and at the end I spent 7 years in all these programs, right? And I loved it, but I kind of didn't see that much value in the degree itself. Because I could see a lot of people doing cool stuff and getting jobs without the degree. And for me it was always like prioritizing learning and enjoying what you do. So I studied first computer science, basic program, and at the end, I think 4th year, I got into programming AI and artificial intelligence, bots, and computer games, and I switched to a different program. So I went to a different university and I studied cybernetics and robotics, because it was just much cooler, and I wanted to play with physical robots and program them. And in the first year we had one competition where we had to program the robot so that it gets out of the maze, and it was so much fun, so much more fun than just doing my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So that's the thing. And then I came back and I worked with my friends on computer games, and I worked on some artificial intelligence algorithms, and I worked with amazing people, smart PhD students, and I felt like I'm learning a lot. And then I had to start working, and I just didn't feel like finishing the degree, so I stopped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my experience with academics it's amazing. Like people that you meet and the information that you can learn. Definitely go and enroll into program even if you don't feel like finishing.
Okay. And so for your take, you're now a senior front-end engineer. What advice or what skill sets is needed to become one, like a front-end engineer in general?
So I'm working on web now. So let's talk about the web technologies.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, there's a part of the software development mindset, which I would call it UX. There's a user who's gonna use whatever you program, and that's one critical part. So one is the technological part. So let's say if you're into web development, you definitely need to get your fundamentals right? So it's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, these times. So just get to know these technologies, know what they can do, and be comfortable writing these things. Then when you have fundamentals, and you can develop the basic website, it starts connecting to things, right? You need to deploy it somewhere. So you're gonna learn a bit about how to deploy websites and how they live, and then you need to get data from somewhere. So you're gonna learn how to connect it to a server, or maybe database, or anything. So you're just gonna kind of add a lot of things to your core skill set. And when you start developing things, and it's gonna be doing things over and over again, you're gonna find out that there are frameworks that can actually do the things that you're doing in one command, in one line. And that's where it starts a bit confusing, but also exciting, because there are loads of frameworks that you can use.
Yeah. So right now.
But more on that later. No.
Yeah, sure. That's what I wanted to open into. So right now we can say that we've got 3 frameworks, right? The popular ones, like there's Angular, there's React, which is kind of a library, and then there's Vue.js, right?
Yeah, Vue.js.
Yes, I don't know if you have experience in all of them, and when do you say that this overcomes this, or yeah, when should one consider using one over the other?
Yeah, I have quite an experience in all of these. So I started with Angular. It's like 5 years ago. It was first Angular JS, right? And then it changed into Angular 2, and then it developed into all these Angulars that we have now.
Yeah.
And it was quite interesting journey seeing how the framework changes. And sometimes it was quite painful, because we developed something in Angular, and then Angular 2 came out and it was better, and I could just see how I don't want to write the old Angular but the new one. So we've just rewritten the whole app, and then as it happens, everything just changes very quickly. So that was my Angular experience, but at the end I would say it's a brilliant framework. And just by using it, you can learn a lot about good programming habits, and a lot of things that you would use not only on front end, but when you eventually maybe switch to back end, you're gonna be happy that you've learned things like dependency injection, and services, factories, and stuff like that. Vue.js I've used just a little bit in Hong Kong, and it was super simple to use, and I liked it. It's almost feels like writing HTML with a little bit of JavaScript.
Yeah.
It has a lot of cool features, and you can pull in different libraries. So it's like Vue.js, then you have routing, you have state management, and all of these things you can pull in if you need them. If you don't, no need to. And to get productive in Vue.js is much easier than in Angular. So there's a much steeper learning curve in Angular. And React is my favorite out of all of these, I think, now. And it's like not a combination of both of these, but it's a middle ground. So it's a very well thought through library that helps you write the UI, but it has a huge ecosystem as well. So like you're gonna use React with maybe a Redux and different libraries, and all of these kind of libraries, they work well together, and the community around React is amazing. Like anything that you need is gonna be somewhere, and somebody has built it, and it's my framework that I would use for now, like, and for a couple of years, I think.
Okay.
In the future.
That's good. That's good. So right now you're a senior front-end engineer. I really want to know, like, what really separates from a senior from a junior or intermediate front-end software engineer.
So I think junior is, you know, a bit less experienced than senior. That's the obvious thing.
Yeah.
But I've met a lot of, let's say, junior software developers that were very smart, and they could, you know, almost do the same things as I would do. Some people just straight out of college, they can program amazing stuff. You know? So it's not, I would say, about the ability to like program something, but it's about how you do it and how well you can maintain it in the long run as well. Yeah. It's about the context that you have, and as somebody, you know, who has a lot of experience, not just from front-end development, I can see code that the junior writes and a senior writes, and you know, it just feels different. And if you have a junior, then probably it's gonna be a bit more messy. It's gonna be harder to maintain afterwards.
Yeah.
It's gonna be less organized because somebody who's still learning needs to experiment a bit, you know. And somebody who has done this like for, you know, years and years, and like he has programmed all these things again and again, it's gonna lead to finding a way of doing things that is fastest, most maintainable, and most readable. You know, and all of these things, they come with experience and with having context as well. I have a good story that somebody told me, which says, you know, like, imagine you're walking through a minefield and you want to go to a place, like you go to KFC or somewhere, and junior just comes, you know, and stumbles, you know, and one mine is gonna just blow up, and he'll say, oh, okay, never mind, yeah, let's go and let's try it again, and another mine is just gonna blow up, and so on. Eventually you'll get to the point, right? But yeah, there are like a lot of things that's gonna not work ideally. Yeah. And as you become more experienced, you're gonna find better tools. You know, you might get a metal detector, or you might get something that can disarm these mines. And you're gonna just be much faster and better at going through a minefield, right? Yeah. And then the most senior people, they walk through a minefield almost as there would be no mines, you know. But you know why? Because they don't plant any mines in the first place. And I think that's like one of the things that I've definitely seen in my life, is that you do things, and in software development, if you have to work on a project that kind of lives more than a couple of months, you're gonna be working on your own code very soon, you know, and the ability to kind of not make mess and make it well organized is one of the like best abilities you can get as a software developer. Doesn't matter front end, back end, you know. Yeah. And the ability to know things from the context, and you know, come to a code base and see, okay, I've seen that actually in different framework, or this, oh, I've seen that somewhere else, you know. That's super valuable. It makes you faster and better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a parting shot, which you kind of answered a little bit. It's just like advice to maybe someone who doesn't have like a college degree and want to become a front-end engineer, just like you, or become an expatriate, maybe also work in another country apart from their home country. Which kind of skill sets, step by step, you can advise for the person to start, to grow and to be really good in front-end development?
So these days you can find everything online, like, you know, Coursera, different tutorials that you can find. I would I think recommend starting with Coursera and just getting basics. You know, if you don't know anything about software development, then you're probably gonna need some language that you start with. So let's say let it be JavaScript, and then you're gonna, you know, start with the fundamentals, like how do you write logic, how to write loops and conditions, and what are types, and inputs, outputs, all of that. And it's gonna be quite fast. You're gonna get small examples that you can make and test on the fly, and then you just add on it like CSS and HTML. These things you're gonna need definitely, and that's one thing that I haven't said about front-end development is that you can just write and test what you've written very fast. And I think it's amazing, and that's why I can see front-end development and web development is so popular right now. It's just so easy to get into. Really, like you can have everything online. You can get JS Fiddle. That's a tool that shows you exactly what you've written. So you write JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and it's gonna evaluate everything and show you how it works.
Yeah.
Like in real time, almost in your browser. You don't have to install anything. It's so easy. So for me, like if I would tell somebody who wants to get into front-end development, this is the best way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Just get the fundamentals and play with it and enjoy creating things.
Yeah. Okay. So there was something that we were supposed to discuss and kind of ran a little bit away. So right now the JavaScript has kind of grown, and we're trying to find that there's also development of one can develop mobile apps using, like, for example, React Native, Ionic frameworks. Have you ever tried out, and what's your thought about it?
Yeah, JavaScript is everywhere now, and it's a good thing. Like I can definitely see a value in both of these. I tried Ionic, but for me it was a bit too simple, and I needed some very custom stuff, so I didn't use Ionic for a long time. But definitely, if you need something that's based on Angular, or something that has like a lot of stuff that's already built, Ionic is a good choice. And React Native is something that I started looking into recently, and it's like I can see a value in it, but also I can see a lot of companies saying that it looks like it's gonna save you time, but at the end it might not. Because it helps you with writing one code for different platforms.
Yeah.
But that code has a lot of stuff that needs to be a little bit more complicated, because the APIs are complicated,
Yeah.
And maybe at the end, if you're writing an app and you just wanted to have it fast and on all of these platforms, yeah, I think React Native would be an awesome choice. But if you would be a huge software house and you want to have everything custom and on point, maybe it's not the best.
It's not the best. We'll go the old way.
But it's amazing. Like just seeing these technologies is it's exciting. You couldn't have imagined this 10 years ago.
Yeah, sure. So right now there have been so much changes in the front end, right? New technologies and whatnot. What are your favorite technology in 2020 or 2019 and now? Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of them, and one of the favorite things that I've been using a lot is TypeScript. So when I first started with JavaScript, I felt like I can do anything. It's so flexible and easy to write.
Yeah.
But as I started writing larger software, more code, I missed one thing, and it's like knowing what your data is. And TypeScript is amazing in that thing that you can just type what you want and make it a really helpful tool for yourself.
Yeah.
So that you don't get lost in all the data that comes into your functions. And you can write classes, you don't have to write classes.
Yeah.
You can type everything you want, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
And I find it super helpful. So
Okay.
TypeScript is definitely one. And there are at least two tools that I really like using, which is React and Redux. And it's not just about these tools, but about like some ideas that are basically in these technologies. One of them is Uniflow, and that's one of the ideas that Redux is based on. The idea itself is just simple organization of your data flow, and it's not a new thing. It has been here for decades, but finally somebody had a good idea to start using it on front end as well. And when you have Uniflow, your data is flowing in an organized manner. It's not just pieces of your software sending data everywhere they want, but there's a center point through which you pass all your data, pass it in, and you get it from there as well. And it just helps with debugging, it helps with knowing what your software does. It's a super good thing.
Yeah, that's good. But before someone dives into TypeScript, he should really know JavaScript in detail, right?
Yeah. TypeScript is just a superset of JavaScript. It just adds a little bit on top. And it almost looks like JavaScript most of the time, just with some edit types. But honestly, you can start learning TypeScript right away. But it's gonna be like you're learning JavaScript mostly. You couldn't have imagined this 10 years ago.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's good. I believe that's it. We come to the end. So I'll put Šimon's LinkedIn URL on the description if you wanna reach out. Though he's usually so busy, he rarely got into LinkedIn. And he also plays music and stuff, instruments.
Yeah. That's another thing. You can't be coding all the time.
All the time. You need to get a hobby to relax your mind a little bit, okay? Yeah, and that's it. So bye. See you.
Thanks for watching.
Okay. See you.